Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show. National picks, Landis. We were better. We got better. We did better. Good for us. We did better last week.
Hard to do worse.
Hard to do worse. We were both 5-2 against the spread last week.
Let's go. All right.
And the 3 games that we agreed on, we were 3-0.
Love it.
Taking the points with Oregon against Penn State, believing in Illinois against USC when a lot of people didn't, and then both giving the points with Notre Dame, who blew the doors off of Arkansas. So good for us. You are now up against the spread for the year. You're 18-17.
All right. We should stop doing the show. Yeah.
I'm 16-19 against the spread, which I'm slowly digging myself out of my hole. Straight up, you are 21-14, and I am 20-15. So we try to pick close games, right? Like we're not on here picking Penn State, UCLA. So like, I mean, that's okay.
I'll take Penn State. Give me Penn State.
Yeah. Give me the tire fire. UCLA. I don't
even
keep
know. Firing people. What are they doing?
Who's the quarterback's coach from Indiana that left to go be the UCLA offensive coordinator?
Tino Sunseri, like very well thought of quarterbacks coach, is now a free agent, I guess.
Like people kind of thought that might even be like a big loss for Indiana, and it's like Indiana's fine and UCLA's on fire. So yeah. Good luck to UCLA. We're actually picking 7 games this week. We usually try to pick 6. I sent you 7, and I thought you might try to thin the herd a little bit, but you accepted all 7.
Yeah, I liked all 7. There's an interesting game that's like a closer spread than I even realized when you sent it. So I think these 7 make sense.
Okay. There's 3 Southern games, 3 Big Ten games, and then we're going to start with an absolute Big 12 banger that I did not see coming.
Yeah.
And it is a great credit to the Cincinnati Bearcats, who are 3-1 and who are hosting Iowa State on ESPN2 at noon on Saturday. Nippert Stadium will be a rockin'. Cincinnati has an opening game neutral site loss in Kansas City to Nebraska 20-17 when they were in field goal range in the last minute and threw a pick. Otherwise, they would have been kicking a long field goal maybe, but at least trying to kick a field goal to force overtime. And then they beat Kansas at Kansas last week 37-34. Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback in the opener against Nebraska, was 13 of 25 for 69 yards. Last week against Kansas, Brendan Sorsby was 29 of 43 for 388 yards. He's also their leading rusher. Tawi Walker, the transfer from Wisconsin, running the ball pretty well. They're mixing Evan Pryor in. They have a handful of pass catchers. You and I thought Scott Satterfield was maybe on the hot seat this year for Cincinnati, and instead they have gone from the preseason in the odds only, because nobody did a preseason Big 12 poll. By the odds, they were 14th in the odds to win the Big 12 coming into the year. They're now 6th, the 6th bet to win the Big 12 at 15-1. And they are favored over Iowa State at home in a game that has huge Big 12 championship implications, Landis. I never would have thunk it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? That was a really good win for Cincinnati against Kansas. I thought, because Kansas has played well this year. Kansas is has got itself figured out. I think, right? They are back to being the quality Lance Leipold Kansas team, and Cincinnati got a really good win there. And there's like favorable matchups here too, right? Because Iowa State's a little banged up in its secondary, so I think it makes sense that Cincinnati is favored, but I also think it's like the worst news in the world that Cincinnati's favored, because it just kind of feels like Matt Campbell's going to get his boys ready because they're an underdog. They're outmanned and they're underdogs. Here they come.
Iowa State 5-0. Beat Kansas State. Started the beginning of the end of Kansas State's season in Ireland to open the year. And then like Kansas State, you saw the Ireland swoon when they got home, and Iowa State fought through that. Mm-hmm. Convincing win over South Dakota, close win versus Iowa in Cy-Hawk rivalry at home, won at Arkansas State, had a week off, and then last week, a pretty nice win versus Arizona, 39-14. I still have a lot of questions about Iowa State's pass catchers, and their defense is really banged up, but Rocco Becht, I think, is showing people who he is, which is a winning quarterback, which he has been, but continues to be the exact kind of guy you want to have on your team.
Yeah, I think two quarterbacks here that kind of will just do whatever it takes to get their team a win, right? And it doesn't always look pretty, although both guys have played really well for the most part this year. Becht is more experienced, I guess, in kind of these like high leverage games than Brendan Sorsby is. But yeah, it's a fun like Big 12 matchup with stakes, but it's a really fun quarterback matchup.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't. Here's the thing, and the Big 12 is nuts. Sort of try to be like, oh, their schedule's pretty easy. I don't know. It's like, well, then by November, the teams that you think are good are going to be bad, and the bad teams that you think are bad are going to be good. But the teams like, so we said Cincinnati is the third in the betting odds right now. Cincinnati is sixth in the Big 12 betting odds. Iowa State is third in the Big 12 betting odds. The two favorites are Texas Tech and Arizona State. Cincinnati doesn't play either of them. So if Cincinnati beats, so they don't play one, they don't play two, they're hosting three, and they're favored against three this weekend. They play 4 and 5 later in the year, including TCU in the last game of the regular season. If Cincinnati wins on Saturday, the discussion has to turn toward can Cincinnati win the Big 12, because the schedule, the veteran quarterback, enough playmakers, the Godfather on defense, on the defensive line, like that's the conversation that's going to have to start. I don't think we have to start it yet, because let's see if you can handle Matt Campbell. But like, how exciting is that for the Bearcats? Just a great, I hope it is a great Saturday of football in Nippert Stadium for everybody who cares about Cincinnati football and everybody who cares about Iowa State football, because what a way to start October.
Yeah, it's just cool to have like I said, like a high stakes Big 12 conference game at Nippert Stadium is fun. Dante Corleone, the Godfather, he mentioned questionable, I think
that's right.
Scott Satterfield did not like sound like a coach who was worried that his best player wasn't going to play, but it wasn't a definitive yes either. That would obviously be a huge loss. And I also think Iowa State's big defensive tackle, Dominique Orange, is a little banged up too. So that'll be something to monitor in this game. Like, which of those two guys, well, one, do they play? And then two, if they play, how effective are they? But those are two guys that can take over games. So, but this is going to be a good one. I have a feeling that Iowa State's going to kind of like drag them into the mud a little bit, or at least try to.
So listen, like my big thing on Iowa State coming into the year is like traditionally Iowa State, when they have a huge up year, and last year was arguably the best season in the history of Iowa State football, they often then have a down year the next year. And I thought sort of continued expectations for Iowa State. They lose their two huge pass catchers. They lose some key guys on defense. I was like, I don't know. And here they are 5-0. But Matt Campbell's as good as it gets. They know how to win. As you said, it's kind of a new spot for Cincinnati. I do have Iowa State winning this 23-17.
I also have Iowa State winning 17-14.
Okay. That is the mud, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're thinking under, and it's just an interesting line to see Cincinnati favored here, but let's just hope for like an awesome football game. And you know what you could wear to that awesome football game is some gear from Roback. RHOBACK.com. Go visit it. Check out all the different teams. This like almost every college football team you could think of. They have cool hoodies, cool polos, cool quarter zips for you to check out. And we know you guys probably have a lot of gear for your favorite team, but I don't know if you have gear like this. So we've talked about the idea of like, oh yeah, that's my hoodie that I really love, or that's like my special hoodie, or that's my good quarter zip. You know, that's when we're going over to the in-laws' house to watch the game, and like my mother-in-law is kind of like, if I wear my stretched out t-shirt, she gives me the side eye, and it's like, oh, look at that, you're still repping the team, but you're making the mother-in-law happy. Like that's what Roback can do for you. RHOBACK.com, and we're going to help you out. BAD20 is the code, BAD20, 20% off your first order. Go visit it. See what you think. Good weekend of football. Every weekend's a good weekend of college football. That's a noon start. Another noon start is Illinois at Purdue. This game went into overtime last year. This was the best game that Purdue played. This is like the highlight of the Ryan Walters era at Purdue, was taking an Illinois team that he used to be the defensive coordinator for into overtime and losing 50-49 in a season otherwise where Purdue was just getting blown off the field on the regular. And so maybe they can conjure a little bit of that again, but Purdue under Barry Odom has been, would we say, surprisingly competitive. They won their first 2 games, so they're already better than last year when they were 1-11. And then USC and Notre Dame didn't completely destroy them. 33-17 versus USC, 56-30 at Notre Dame. For instance, last year they lost to Notre Dame 66-7. I don't know. Purdue's good for Purdue for having all right, let's rebuild it under the first year coach, and there's a little something to it.
Yeah, they got it together a little more than I thought they would. They have a really tough schedule. So they said play Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, and Indiana still. So I don't know how many more wins are coming, but those are 2 games that maybe they would have been shut out in last year. So that at least that didn't happen. Promising play on the field. I don't know how many more wins are out there for them. But the other thing, so this game last year went to overtime. I believe I'm correct in that was the first game where Ryan Walters started calling offensive plays, and 2, the first game that Ryan Brown played at quarterback, and the offense was pretty drastically different for that game, and they did a lot of quarterback run stuff that I don't think Illinois was ready for, and never really figured out until the very end of the game when they won. That is not at play here. Ryan Brown is still produced quarterback, but Illinois knows all about him now. So the ultimate X factor that made that game way more interesting than it needed to be, I don't think is an X factor in this particular matchup.
Illinois bounced back very nicely against USC last week, except then they almost blew it. Yeah. So they kind of controlled the whole game against USC, had some critical turnovers, including a fumble right on the goal line that just absolutely took a touchdown straight off the board. They actually let USC take the lead at the end, and then they went on a march to kick the game-winning field goal. So they get their doors blown off by Indiana. They come back. Everybody's picking USC. Illinois handles business, looks like the better team, and then almost gives it away and then rescues it. So it is quite the roller coaster Illinois experience. Do you believe in Illinois? Do you not believe? Because if they just would have handled it and beaten USC by 21, I might have really been in on, all right, sometimes you just get blitzed and whatever, and that Indiana-Illinois game is not indicative of anything, and I still think Illinois could be a playoff team, but then they tried to lose in a game they were the better team in.
Yeah, I believe in Luke Altmaier. I don't know. I believe in Purdue probably not being built to attack Illinois' offensive deficiency, which is its offensive line, in a way that will make this game a little wonky.
The offensive line was better last week, though. Not that they could be worse than they were against Indiana.
Yeah. The pressure rate for Luke Altmaier on the season is 33.3, but yeah, it was bad against Indiana. So I think they'll be okay in the spot. I don't know whether or not I believe in them long term. And this is also a kind of a look ahead spot for Illinois too, because Ohio State's coming to Champaign in 2 weeks. But I think they got a little straightened out after the Indiana debacle. What happened there is not, I think, a total indication of the kind of team that Illinois is or wants to be. And I think it will probably be intent on reminding people of that as it tries to move forward. I don't think it's going to beat Ohio State, but I don't think their season is going to go off the tracks either because they lost that game the way they did.
Weird line, I think. Only 10. So it's a 10-point line for a team that coming into the season, a lot of people, including me, thought was a legitimate playoff contender versus a team that went 1-11 last year and completely tore down its program. So, and now I think the look ahead spot has something to do with it. I think a little bit of the life that Purdue has shown has something to do with it. But I think roster comparison, the idea that this is a 10-point, I think preseason, I don't know what the preseason line was. I would have thought this would have been a 21-point line, and it's 10. It's 10. It's so weird to me, which is why I'm picking Illinois to cover by a point. I'll take Illinois 31-20.
So this is a trophy game. They play for the Purdue Cannon. The They've been pretty close. Like Illinois won last year in overtime, as you said, 50-49. That snapped a 4-game Purdue winning streak. 3 of those 4 Purdue wins were pretty close. A couple overtime games in there. So like it's kind of a weird game. There's a lot of 1-score games in here, 2-score games in here. I think Illinois covers as well. I'm a little more comfortable than you. 28-13.
I think on the football, it makes sense for Illinois to win by 3 touchdowns, but it's not only, I think, on the football. And I just like credit to Purdue for trying to find its way here. So, okay. The next game is a 3:30 start, and it is a classic rivalry between 2 evenly matched programs. It is Vanderbilt at Alabama. They are mirror images of each other, Bill. You look at Bama football and you look at Vanderbilt football and you say, if they took their jerseys off, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. For some reason, Bama is favored by 10.5 at home for this 3:30 kick in a game that Vanderbilt won last year, 40-35. And I'm just going to pick Vanderbilt again, 34-27, because there's not a single thing that Bama's doing that I believe in. Not a thing. Not a thing. I think Georgia stinks. I think Florida State's not that good, which we'll get to for our last pick. And I think all of this stuff, I get it. They probably have some good defensive players. Remains an SEC mirage. Ooh. You're just walking through. Are there deserts in Alabama? I don't know where they do. They have deserts in Alabama, and it's just probably like, not. What's over there? It's like everybody's in a fugue state since Nick Saban retired, and now they're like, we're fine. We haven't solved squat. I don't want to be on the Diego Pavia bandwagon as he attempts to play until he's 37 years old. And why shouldn't you sue for a 14th year of eligibility? Because it's all about you. And why shouldn't you endow your own scholarship? And you can have gray hair and be Vanderbilt's quarterback, and nobody in the rest of the history of the program gets to play quarterback because you refuse to believe that eligibility is a real thing. I don't really want to be on that bandwagon, but when you do this kind of thing, you've got to choose your sides. I wouldn't bet a nickel on Bama. I am absolutely going to take Vanderbilt plus the 10.5, and I swear to God, I'm not going to be surprised if Vanderbilt beats them for the second straight year.
I will not be surprised either. I'm taking the point. I'm taking Vanderbilt plus 10.5, and I'm picking Alabama to win by a point, 31-30.
You said beforehand that you had a crazy score. Is this it, or do you have something crazier?
No. I have a crazier. I have a crazier pick. Yeah.
Because listen, you knew I was going to pick Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to come in and steal your thunder of like, oh, Bill only picked Bama to win by a point. It's like, yeah, Doug went nuts. Texas, Florida. I don't care. But others do. This
overrated. Is the quarterback matchup that fed families for an entire college football offseason. Show some respect.
Ari Wasserman woke up in the middle of the night every night in June and just sat up and said, Lagway. Oh, God. Honey, what's wrong? Oh, I was having another dream about DJ Lagway. I'm just thinking about the DJ Lagway Arch Manning showdown. It's like, oh, yeah, what are they both averaging? 111 passing yards per game? Give me a freaking break. What a bunch of overrated SEC hoo-ha. Oh, and Steve Sarkisian's like puffing up Florida this week. Florida, 3 straight losses. They scored 16 against South Florida, 10 against LSU, 7 against Miami. I think it's possible against this Texas defense. Can you score negative points? What could they take? I would like to pick Florida to score negative. And I think Texas will find its way and whatever, but I just want if everybody's DJ Lagway, Florida, Heisman hype, oh my God, choke on it. God, it's so frustrating. Texas 28, Florida 10.
You ready?
No.
Texas 10, Florida nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were Lagway and me. I thought you were going to be like Billy Napier, not. 56, Steve Sarkisian, 55. 10-0. Yeah. I love it. So that is Texas is favored by 6.5. 10-0. That I appreciate so much. Oh my God. Are you gonna like just call Ari and like leave weird messages on his phone if Florida gets shut out? What are we doing here? Oh my
Yeah, I might.
God.
Yeah, I'm not above that.
Okay. And I would just remind people that you don't have to watch that. You don't have to watch either of those games, because you can watch Washington at Maryland at 3:30 and just check the score. And then when you see that Vanderbilt's ahead, you can flip to Vanderbilt beating Alabama just to see what's going on. I do think Washington at Maryland matters. 3:30 at Maryland. Washington is favored by 6.5. Super interesting quarterback battle between second-year player Damon Williams Jr. of Washington and freshman Malik Washington of Maryland. Mike Lockley, another coach that I thought quite understandably might be on the hot seat. And they are 4-0, and they have a freshman quarterback who is like reinvigorating Maryland football, and like good for Maryland football. But also, if Washington is the offense that I puffed them up to be before they scored 6 against Ohio State, I think they go on the road here, and they didn't win on the road last year. I think they go on the road here and put on an offensive show a little bit, if this is actually a good offense.
Two incredibly powerful forces at odds here: October Maryland and road Washington. I have no idea which one of those two things is going to win, because Maryland is the kings of starting 4-0 and then losing every game in October, and Washington didn't win a game on the road last year.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think a little bit of body blow right after playing Ohio State.
Sure. Real.
Yeah.
Real. That's real.
Yeah. I think Maryland's going to win.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is it. Okay. Like I think this is an interesting game to watch. I think this is an interesting Big Ten game as we continue. I think the standard has been raised in the Big Ten, and a game like this is reflective of this. Washington Maryland is not like Washington Maryland. It's like, oh, interesting. Yeah, I think I'll watch a little bit of that. Washington Maryland. So what do you got?
Maryland 28-24.
Okay. That's gonna be a great game. I would watch that. Washington 38-20. So let's see. October Maryland is more ingrained. Road Washington was it's year one of Jed Fish last year. They're patching together the roster. They don't know what is going on. They're flying across the country for the first time from the Pacific to Piscataway. They're losing it. Rutgers. Jed Fish doesn't even know where Jed Fish actually is from New Jersey. But like these guys, I think they were probably the number one victims and the number one contributor to the West Coast coming east thing is a really difficult thing to do because they were different teams, but also their road schedule was tougher than their home schedule. So there's some of this. It's like, well, I don't know. They went and lost to some good teams, but they went. So this is exactly, again, if they're going to be better than that, then you've got to go beat Maryland. Because great for Maryland to start 4-0, but if Washington actually is like in the top half of the middle, if Washington's going to be an 8 or 9 win team, which I still think they could be, you got to go handle business here. I can handle business convincingly and remind people of how good Damon Williams Jr. is, or you and Maryland are basically equal. And if Washington's equal to Maryland, then you're competing to be like the 10th best program in the Big Ten. And I think Washington wants to be more than that.
Do we know Takario Davis's status for this game?
Oh, I do not. It seemed like I don't know anything other than they thought he was close enough last week to maybe warm up and see what it is. And the way Jed Fish talked about it was that injury, they weren't sure that he could protect himself. But I think coming out of it and the moment, it felt like they believed he had a chance to play starting this week. But I have not seen the latest update.
I didn't see an update, but I know, after the game, he said, like, we're optimistic, but it's the doctor's call. So if Tak Davis plays, that's huge, obviously. Because Maryland wants to throw the ball with Malik Washington. Washington should win. I just think there's enough there with like coming off of playing Ohio State, being banged up, having to prove to me that you can win on the road and the travel. Like, I think Maryland is a good enough team to like pounce if there are opportunities presented. So I'll take Maryland to cover at the very least, but I'll pick them outright.
Okay. So again, that's a 6.5 point spread. The Huskies favored on the road. Bill takes Maryland 28-24. I take Washington 38-20. Game number 6. This is the one that maybe we could have dispensed with, but I just think Nebraska remains important enough to the Big Ten to talk about. And this is Michigan State at Nebraska. It's a 4:00 Eastern start. Nebraska at home is favored by 11.5. That line is creeping a little bit higher. They're both coming off idle weeks, and they're both 3-1. So Nebraska is licking its wounds a little bit after losing at home to Michigan in a game that was close. But if Nebraska is gonna be a 9-win team and want to be in the playoff discussion in November, you must take care of business in a game like this. But year 2 of Aiden Childs, year 2 of Jonathan Smith at Michigan State, they're 3-1, and they're like an interesting opponent. So again, like Washington, Maryland, Nebraska, Michigan State, I think are eminently watchable games that just are the interesting middle of the Big Ten.
I think Nebraska's defense is pretty good.
Yep.
I can be convinced of like an offensive breakthrough coming for Nebraska as well.
Okay.
More so than I could, I think of Michigan State right now. So I think Nebraska wins like kind of comfortably. I know it's a double-digit spread, but I have Nebraska winning 31-17. I think they're maybe ready to take a step forward.
I think that would make a lot of sense. I have Nebraska 35-17. Michigan State, again, coming off an off week, beat Western Michigan, beat Boston College 42-40, beat Youngstown State, then lost at USC in a game that was 11 p.m. body clock for them, 45-31. That was like when USC was flying high, and, they at least put some points on the board. And so I think that remains like there's still that lurking breakout of Aiden Childs, 12-21 for 212 and 3 touchdowns against USC. But this is where the black shirts just need to assert some dominance. I think this is the kind of team that Nebraska needs to get healthy against.
Interesting stretch, like for Nebraska too. Like they just have the one loss right now, and I understand it was to the best team they've played. But like Michigan State, they can win at Maryland, at Minnesota on a Friday night, October 17th, could be pretty fun. But then it's Northwestern. It's like they can win their next 4. And then they host USC, and it's Penn State, Iowa to close the season. We'll see what happens, but I think there's a chance for Nebraska to build some momentum and maybe get to that Penn State game with like 9 wins.
I mean, like we're talking about these teams. This is this middle we talked about. I think somebody's going to elevate. I mean, maybe it's already happened and it's Indiana. It's like, who's going to elevate? It's like the same team that elevated last year. It's Indiana, but maybe it'll be somebody else. It maybe still could be Michigan, right? It could be Nebraska. It could be Illinois finding itself. It could be Washington, right? I think there are candidates. It could be USC licking its wounds and finding a way, right? I think like somebody's going to be that team who gets on a roll. And I think we're right at the beginning of the roll for somebody. So who's it going to be?
Can I ask you a question when we're talking about Nebraska?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Matt Rule having a podcast? I think it's kind of weird.
So he shouldn't spend more than 3 minutes thinking about it, other than the time he's yakking in to the microphone.
But it seems like he spends a lot of time on it. This is like, I've watched it. It's like kind of good. And it's well produced. And it's like, how much effort do you put into this? And how much does it take away from you coaching your team?
Does it feel like a recruiting tool for Nebraska football?
Of course, yeah, very much so. Yeah, but even like before they played Michigan, like he interviewed Dave Portnoy about like being a Michigan fan. It's like, I don't know.
Rule
and maybe, yeah. His guests this week are Andy and Ari.
Oh, because he got in a fight with Ari?
Yeah, so yeah, they're mending bridges. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was just thinking to myself, right? Because it's like if Ryan Day had a podcast and Ohio State lost a game, like what would the reaction be to that?
I mean, but we're seeing that with players, right? It's like Paul George had a podcast, and then it was like the Sixers stunk, and it's like, great, Paul George.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good that people like have a platform to say what they want. Like, I'm not trying to be salty about that. I just like wonder if the optics of it are the best when you're doing it in season.
Yeah, you better win. No, I think that's the bottom line. Is like, and this is the same thing. It's like, oh, you have a low golf handicap. Hope you went 10-2. If you went 6-6 with a low golf handicap, that's a problem. Yeah. So you should have no interests as a college football head coach other than your family and the team that you coach. So And if he's kicking back and talking for an hour and did like a little prep, that's 90 minutes he could have spent thinking about Aiden Childs. So
he's doing his own interviews. Like he does like his chit chat segment, and then he's like, okay, now here's our interview segment. And I talk to whoever for 45 minutes. It's like, that's how you're spending your time.
Wow. So the coach is going to interview the media members.
Yeah.
Is he going to interview Ari and Andy about being media members, or is he going to interview them about like what they think about college football?
I don't know. It hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
Stay tuned. This has been a free commercial for the House Rules podcast.
Yeah, I don't like any of it. Leave the talking to the talkers and the ball to the ballers. I don't want anything to do with any of this now. Yeah. No, I'm out. I take Michigan State. I'm changing my pick. Does Jonathan Smith have a podcast that we know of? Okay, then I'll take Michigan State. I'll keep Nebraska at 35, but I'm going to give Michigan State 52 instead of 17 because I think that podcast is worth 35 points that Matt Rule has given up. My God. Okay, now you got me all. My wife, she's like, "Did you watch? Did you listen to the Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce podcast? They had on the head of the World Bank." It's like, no, I didn't. Listen.
By the way,
famous
since they started
players.
that podcast, Travis Kelce stinks. So maybe there's a correlation there.
You know what happened to me? I'm terrible at everything else in my life right now because of this podcast.
That's true.
So good luck to all you people who think it's so easy, and everybody, actually it is easy. Anybody can do it. That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
Just play your games and coach your games and leave this to us. Last one is Miami, Florida State. It's at 7:30 on Saturday night. It's opposite Ohio State, Minnesota. You can put this on a second screen if you want. People used to care about this. I don't know. Like people used to care about this game, right? It's all they're in the same.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun when these teams are good and playing each other. Yeah.
No, I agree. They used to own college football, and now they're like, is Miami, Florida State as interesting as Nebraska-Michigan State? It's close. It almost so. Florida State at home is favored by 4.5. I think Florida State
is that right?
No, they're an underdog by 4.5. I said it wrong. Sorry. Florida State is getting 4.5 at home. Florida State's getting 4.5.
Sports app.
Yeah, for real. Florida State at home is a 4.5-point underdog. Florida State, I think, was just sort of had one of those days against Alabama, and Alabama had one of those days against them.
Against Virginia.
And then for Florida, so like that Florida State beats Alabama, and it's like everybody's like, oh, Florida State's back. And it's like, are they? And then they lose to Virginia last week. And I think like this is the beginning of the unraveling of Florida State, because I don't think Florida State's for real, and I do think Miami's for real.
I think Miami is more for real, certainly. I do wonder about Thomas Castellanos here and whether or not his scrambling ability and running ability can do anything to lessen the impact of like just how good Miami's defensive line is. And Ruben Maine have been, but I think Miami, and other people I think this as well. Like they're the best, I think, offensive defensive line combo in the country. I don't think Florida State can hang in the trenches with Miami, but you have to, it's a rivalry. Mario Cristobal doesn't know how to manage a game. There's opportunities here for this to get weird.
So, I mean, it's even one of those things. In the miracle win over Alabama that Thomas Castellanos called in the offseason, do you know he was 9 of 14 for 152 yards?
Yeah, he doesn't throw the ball.
Yeah. So he was 18 of 32, which is 56%. Against Virginia in a double overtime loss. 1 touchdown, 2 picks, his first 2 sacks of the season. I just don't think it's real. And I think like the chickens come home to roost. I think Miami big. I think I'm gonna hit this. Okay. I think I'm gonna hit this like big Dougie style. I might put $4 on this instead of 2.
That's 2 units.
That's 2 units. The 2 units, I have Miami 37, Florida State 16.
Highest rushing rates in the country: Navy, Army, Rice, which is basically a service academy, Air Force, and then Florida State. I have Miami winning and covering, but I have it close. Miami 38-31.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Those are our picks for this week. Again, we were both 5-2 last week. We'll take that again this time. I would love to. I'm crawling back. I'd love to get over 500. Because otherwise, I mean, like I'm down $6.
Let me tell you, it feels great.
Yeah. I would know. I'm not sure I've ever been ahead in betting at any stage, in any sport, at any time in my life, which is why we are not doing a betting show at the moment. All right. Thanks to you guys for being here. We'll do a post-game show after Ohio State, Minnesota on Saturday night. That will certainly focus on Ohio State, Minnesota. But, you know, I would imagine I might mention Vanderbilt's win over Alabama. Might come up.
I can envision it coming up. Are you going to travel with your swords?
I am driving where I'm traveling, so I can take I can cross state lines with a sword, right? Yeah, so I'll probably take them.
Well, I didn't know if you got the sword out when a southern team beats a southern team, or if you just enjoy it but keep the sword sheathed.
I mean, I would always advise to keep your sword sheathed, but I think that Bama losing to Vanderbilt again 2 straight years is enough for me to have my swords with me just in case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You never know. All right. Good weekend of college football. We appreciate you guys being along on the ride with us. We do a playoff show on Tuesday nights where we talk about our playoff bracket. We do this national pick show on Friday. We have a lot of other Ohio State coverage during the course of the week, but we hope you join us whenever you're in the mood to hear Philly Billy and French Vanilli talk a little ball. So for now, that'll do it for our national picks. Good luck to everybody this weekend. He's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was the Bill and Doug Show.